G'day guys, this is Ken from Southern Cross, which is a band from Perth, Western Australia. I'm going to talk to you today about stomp boxes or pedals, guitar effects, and a quick way or an effective way of actually putting them together in such a manner that they don't come apart on you in transit. You won't have your cables and leads and patch cables and that sort of stuff breaking down on you, so therefore you're unlikely to have your effects units drop out on you on stage. Now, firstly, we go through, this is a couple of different pedals I've got sitting here. This isn't the unit I'm using on stage. My gear is actually over behind me, already racked up, and I'll show you that in a little while. But the things you need in order to make up a pedal board that's effective or efficient. Firstly, you need your stomp boxes, obviously. You know, if you're going to be using pedals or stomp boxes, you have to have pedals or stomp boxes. You're going to need some patch leads. That's those things on the floor just there. Grab one here. Okay, the little cables that will jump between one pedal and the next. You go from the output of one pedal to the next one. If you're running 10 pedals, you're going to need 9 of these to run between them. Okay, you're going to need a power supply that can feed them all. That's this thing just here, and as you can see, it's running a daisy chain in this particular case that feeds all the 5 pedals I've got sitting here. Now, this isn't a pedal board I'm using. This is just a dummy board I'm making up for this particular video here. You'll need a case or a board of some kind to carry them around on. Now, there's an old guitar pedal board just there, case style. Now these ones here, what generally happens is actually a piece of Velcro. And the idea is you get some of this Velcro, you stick it to the bottom of the guitar pedals, you can see like I've done just there. And inside of the bottom of these cases, there's actually felt. And if you put the pedal down on that and press it down, it's supposed to hold in place. I'm not a real fan of these systems because, as you saw just then, it comes off far too easy. It's lifting up this time, but in a lot of cases it'll just come off, and it's not taking me a great deal of effort to move that. Inside of the lid, there is actually, you can see the grey on the inside of the lid, that's actually foam, which is about 10 mil thick. If you decide to use one of these pedal boards and using that foam, I would suggest that you get another piece of foam to put inside of that lid that is about half the thickness of the lid and put that in there. It's just soft, spongy foam, and that will actually compress down around the pedal when you lift it up and carry it, be a lot less likely to have the pedals moving on you in transit. But personally, I'd say not to use the Velcro anyway, and the felt. The way I would suggest to do it is to get some MDF. I've got some MDF here, or even some plywood or chipboard, whatever it happens to be. Cut it out to fit neatly inside of the base of the pedal board or pedal case. So this is just exactly the same type of case as that one there. And I've just cut out a piece of MDF that fits neatly inside. You can see it sits right up against the edges. And that will then allow you to screw and use double-sided tape, etc., to mount your pedals. Okay, the next thing you're going to need, as we said, we've got to the case and boards. You'll need some double-sided tape. Now, the double-sided tape you're not going to use on all pedals, but on some pedals, such as your boutique ones, we'll pretend that this one here is a boutique one. Actually, what I'll do is I'll grab a pedal I've got just here. Okay. This one here is just a George Dennis distorted mind rock. It's not really a boutique pedal as such, but we'll pretend it is because it's not the same as your Bosses and Ibanez type pedals. These have got rubber feet mounted in the corners, as you can see. There's 4 feet there. So first thing you do is you'll remove those feet. With most of the pedals, they just pry off. With the George Dennis ones like this, it's easier to take the base off using the 4 screws there and then poke them out from the inside because they actually poke through. They've got lugs. Okay, but just cut them off or remove them somehow. And then you get your double-sided tape, which is this stuff just here. And you will mount a piece across there, a piece across the bottom, turn it over and press it down onto the MDF. It is never going to move, not until you want to physically remove it, okay? So double-sided tape. Obviously, if you're using double-sided tape, a pair of these things will come in really handy as well. So it's your double-sided tape and scissors. That's how you mount your boutique-style pedals, such as, you know, your tube drivers or whatever it happens to be. You're going to need some screws and a screwdriver to do mounting pedals like your Ibanez and Boss pedals. And I'll show you how and why that is in a second. Okay, firstly, Phillips head screwdriver. Very handy. Some little screws. Now they're 16 mil screws by approximately 3 mil across, I guess. They're what they call 5 gram 16 mil screws. Okay, and the last thing I've got written on the list there is links. Now these links, all they are, go down to your local bicycle shop or chainsaw servicing shop or something like that and tell them you want some old links from an old chain they've got there. They're bound to have a chain they've ripped off an old chainsaw or off an old bicycle. They'll just give you the chain. Go home, punch out the pins and grab side links. This one's off a chainsaw chain because I've got a few chainsaws in the shed. And using these is fantastic for mounting your Boss pedals. Now obviously what you do is these screws here, and they're just small wood screws. I'll grab one out of the packet. So I'll grab one out of the packet, it's a little bit awkward. with one hand. There we go. Got a heap of them. Okay, there's a little wood screw there that will feed through the hole on the link. So there's your link. You just literally screw that through the hole and then mount that into the board. I'll show you on a pedal that's actually already here ready to go. Here we go, we've got a metal zone. As you can see, there's a link sticking out there. There's a link sticking out the top there. The way that is mounted, I'll just disconnect these patch leads and stuff, because I've dummied this up to make it look like a pedal board. I've actually used the 4 mounting screws at the bottom. I've taken 2 of them, diagonally opposite each other, and screwed the link into place with them. That then allows me to grab one of these little screws here, such as this, and as you can see, there's already a hole there ready to go. I could screw this straight through that into that hole and make it mounted into place. Your Boss pedals and your Ibanez pedals will never ever move if you mount them that way. That is how I would suggest to go about mounting your Boss pedals. I've already told you how to go about mounting things like your boutique pedals. Now, I'll show you how effective mounting with double-sided tape is. This Ibanez pedal here, which is an old WF10, which is getting to be a little bit collectible now, but it's an old, they're actually plastic casing, but they're a wah pedal with a fuzz built into them. This one here has actually been mounted onto this MDF board here using some double-sided tape. And as you can see, the entire pedal board lifts up using it. It is fantastic. It's never going to come off there. I'm shaking the crap out of it at the moment. It's never going to come off there. Now, I'm going to go into the next room where I've got the pedal board I made up last night and explain to you a couple of problems that guitarists commonly come up against on stage with a pedal board. Firstly, this is the pedal board that I'm using, or the pedal board that I made up last night to start using. Okay, it's fairly simple. The tuner runs into a wah pedal, into a Route 66 overdrive and distortion. Compressor and overdrive. Then it runs into another overdrive pedal, to a distortion pedal, to a phaser, a chorus, a Fender Deluxe Super Reverb, or whatever it is, and a digital delay. Everything is powered in this particular case of this multi-power supply just here, with the exception of the wah pedal, which has its own power supply. As you can see, looking at this Boss pedal just there, it's got a screw mounted through. The Ibanez pedal above, it's got the same thing. Each of these Boss and Ibanez pedals have screws mounted into place to hold them on there. Now, when you are plugging in, you want to make sure that the first pedal closest to the edge that you have to plug your guitar lead into has enough space that you can get the cable in and out without having to fight it. Okay? So a lot of the cases, if you put it right up against this edge here, you are not going to get your guitar jack to plug in. But if you leave enough gap there to do it, I can plug this in without having to lift the pedal up, which is ideal, which is just handy because this Fender pedal is held down with 2-sided tape. There's no way that is going to lift off there anyway, so make sure you've got enough gap there. So what I do is I plug it into the Fender pedal, the tuner, and then run from that back into the wah pedal. That gives me a good width of the wah pedal, which is about probably 5 inches or so across, to actually get your jack plug into place. The last pedal, the same deal. Your pedal that you have to plug from to run into your guitar amp, you also want to have enough space there to get your guitar lead in and out quite easily. So just grab a guitar lead, it's a normal size jack, okay, it's not a 90-degree jack, and I can plug that in without having to fight it quite easily. Okay, once again, there's black MDF in this particular case mounted to the bottom of it. Each of my pedals are there ready to go. The order in which these pedals run, I'm going to go through this very quickly, it doesn't really matter, but the order I've got them running, this one here is just a channel switch for my amplifier. It's not important, okay, it's a channel switch, but I'm going from the tuner into a wah pedal, into my into my compressor, my overdrive, next overdrive, distortion, phasers next, chorus, super reverb, and digital delay. The standard order you'll put pedals into, and I've got a list over here somewhere written down ready to go, so I'll grab that. You do not have to follow this order, but it comes in handy. Compressor, overdrives and distortions, equalizers, modulation, reverbs and delays. If you're using a wah pedal, either put it before your compressor if you're playing in a standard rock band. If you're playing in a heavy rock, heavy metal sort of band and you want to get a bit more growl out of your wah pedal, put it after your overdrives and distortions and that'll give it a bit more of a snarly tone. You don't have to follow this order, but that's the order that most guitarists will generally stick to because it keeps your sound to noise ratio to the optimal sort of level. So in other words, the sound you're creating with your guitar will be far heavier than the sound that you're actually getting from the pedal creating in the background. In other words, your hums and buzzes and crackles will be minimal by comparison. Anyway, this is Ken from Southern Cross saying goodbye, and I'll speak to you next time.